Nya everyone, this is Thermite, and this is Fire Punch, Volume 5. On the cover, we've got Tagata. I apologize, I've had to re-record the first part, like, once or twice, so, I... My initial shock at this cover cannot be re-recorded. I honestly thought after Volume 4 that we're going to stop doing what we did with Volumes 1, 2, 3, where it was, like, the same general structure of the cover, but then repeated with other characters. Like, I thought that was supposed to be the big break, but no, this is Tagata making the same pose as Agni in the previous volume, but no one's around her. Like, the other one was sort of a, here's Agni, and then here are the people that are now on his side. His, not disciples, but, his allies, his new allies. Whereas this is Tagata by herself, she's on fire, the fire is green. Like, that could just be a stylistic choice, but it could also be a, like, hint that it's not Agni's fire, or it's not any of the fires we've seen thus far. Huh. It concerns me a little. Also, volumes 1 to 3 had, like, it went Agni, then Tagata, then, boy, what was her name? I mean, I guess it could be any of the, like, evolved people. Like, that could have been Sulia, but I know it's not. It is, the girl who Agni mistaked for, Luna. But anyways, so presumably Volume 6 will be her again, or it could be Sulia, or it could be, like, some other person with the same look. I think that'd be a cool way to, like, maintain the pattern while still, like, having it be not exactly the same. I'm pretty worried for Takata, though. Like, she is leaving the community, and this is her on fire. There is the slightest chance that she could also be a fire punch for a little bit, but her regeneration isn't as ridiculous as Agni's. So presumably, if she were set on fire with eternal fire, she would just die, or they would have to peel off her skin to save her. Judah, that's it. Oh boy, that's what happens when you spend like a year not reading the series. Whoops. Oh yeah, Masked Man. I forgot about him. They also didn't include Batman here, the guy who can like read minds, the one who said that. Oh yeah, that's right. He was the one who said that Togata is a man. We don't know what that means. I personally assume that means that Togata is trans, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. I guess we'll see. I don't want to. I don't want to try and metagame this because of how buck wild the ending of last volume was. Like, how do you game beyond the idea of, like, the big plan that we've already heard? Like, it is so ridiculous that perhaps that isn't true. But then that's not very interesting. There's also something there with, like, Tagata's love of film and Sulia's desire to see the next Star Wars, but... Also, why is she leaving? It did seem like she wanted to leave because she was accused. I guess it was the greater thing of, don't trust this person. This person is, deceptive. But despite all of that, like, Agni does, like, still appreciate Togata as a person. I appreciate Agni's stance on this. Like, he has been, one of his defining traits has been, he's a kid. Like, when he physically grew up, he didn't really have any time to mentally grow up either. And yeah, like, Tagata has been the one to stage what Agniism is. Without her, Agniism would not exist. And that does seem to be, like... yeah. And he's also so innocent in a way. Like... Without Tagata, he could still feed the village, but should Behemdor, like, descend upon them, he wouldn't have a big idea of what to do, or if some other civilization were to attack them. Like, he doesn't have tactics, and the people he's with, like, they know how to fight on the run and stuff, but they don't have the big strategy that Tagata does. So if they do split ways here, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't imagine they will. This has to be a situation where Tagata decides that, yeah, okay, I'll stay with you, and then she dies tragically. Okay, what do you think when he said I was a man? Like, I'm curious to see how this is tackled. You've got breasts. I'd never think you're a man. But okay. That split second doubt is something I hate as much as you hate seeing people you care about die. Like, so maybe it is a situation where, like, huh. Good, like, speech bubble overlap right there. That's so, it's so good. Okay, I have the brain of a man, but the body of a woman. I mean, yeah, in a world like this, especially to someone like Agni, how do you explain gender dysphoria? Although this actually does seem to be the reverse. Like, I guess it is gender dysphoria, but I assumed that Togata was male to female, when I guess it is more female to male. Like, Togata has the physical body of a female, but her mind is that of a man. Although I guess Togata's never said one way or another, right? I mean, I guess that's also the problem with having a regenerative ability. Like, you can't have a gender affirming surgery when you will just immediately heal back to your initial states. Right, right, right. Also, like, in this world, how do you get a sex change? Like, there are barely doctors, let alone doctors that would, perform a surgery like that. That's actually a really interesting take on it. Like, she has accepted, or if okay, if Tagata says, call me he, I'll say he. But like, it is a situation where it seems like Tagata has become used to the idea of people seeing her as female, but like, the dysphoria only really hits when someone realizes what Tagata is like inside. Yeah, I'm forced to think of myself as female. Like, especially in the post-apocalypse, I can see why the priority would be more on, like, this is what people see of me, therefore I'm just gonna go along with it. Hmm. I wonder how Agni relates to it. Like, I mean, I would say Agni definitely has not the same thing going on, but something similar in that Agni inside is still a little boy, but physically, he is a big ripped man who is always on fire. Like, the way people see him is definitely not the same as the way he sees himself, or the way he would like to see himself. Hmm. Most of why everyone is able to believe that you're a god isn't because of the good deeds you've done or the miracles you've performed. It's because of how you look. Yeah. That is, I mean, yeah, for sure. Like, the series itself would not be doing as well as I imagine it did if Agni didn't look this way. Like, Agni is not a godlike being, but just looking at him immediately makes you go, wow, this man feels godly, or I can understand why people would worship him. Not gonna lie, this is a bit of a big mood. I can relate to this quite a bit. Like, not as much right now because I have kind of grown into an aspect in which, like, I can make myself look the way I want people to see me. But especially when I was younger, I used to struggle with this quite a bit. Like, the concept of the way I am and the way I would like people to treat me is completely the opposite of the way I physically look. Oh, I feel so bad for Tagada. It is also like it's so strong after seeing Tagada be so aloof to have a chapter where we really just get to see all of their like inner mechanics, like their minds. That is, oh man. In reality, you don't like this Tagada, do you? You like the funny, crazy female version of Tagada, don't you? I do too, because in this world, the male Tagada would have never survived. If you just try hard enough, you can become the person you want to be, but I never can. Oh, god damn! Because I do agree, like, yeah. I fell in love with the concept of Tagada because, like, she is the manic pixie dream girl. She is the crazy character who shows up and says a bunch of bullshit about movies and is, like, super buck wild. But that is an illusion, and that is insane to think of. Because like we also did see hints here and there of a greater depth to their character. So I did like I this doesn't feel like a complete out of left field thing. It does make a lot of sense to me. I'd. Mm, I mean, to be fair, no matter what you say to Agni, like, he can continuously follow. There is nothing that Tagada can do to stop him. So even if he can't argue very well, at the very least he can, like, remain there. Hmm. They do have a really strong, like, almost sibling dynamic. God. I've been reading a lot of Chainsaw Man. Like, I think last time I did a volume reaction, Chainsaw Man was still, like, in the mid 30s or so. It's been like 20 chapters. It's still so incredible. I think the only thing really missing from it is like sequences like that. Like we do get sequences a bit like this every once in a while, but the chapters are, like they are much shorter than a chapter of Fire Punch. So there's less wiggle room. There's less time to screw around. Like if Fujimoto wants to do something like this, he will do it. It's just it usually isn't like 2 pages of, essentially almost, extremely similar panels. Usually it's 1 page. Joke's on you. I don't know what vocabulary means, stupid. Jeez. But okay, here we go. Yeah, so only my body grew up. Your appearance doesn't reflect who you are inside, just like me. I mean, yeah, I also do appreciate that it is very asymmetrical. I do fully believe that Agni can understand it. And I do think this is also a pretty strong statement of, you know, even a kid who has never been exposed to this sort of like discussion to these topics can usually like pretty intuitively understand what someone says when they say, use these pronouns or I'm a girl in a boy's body or vice versa. Like a lot of people act as if that is an insane concept that would take so much brain power to, work over and it would confuse young minds, but it really doesn't. Hmm. Okay, what is Agni's response here? I mean, is it that he's not pretending that he does genuinely care? Or is it something else? Hmm. If I had an older sister, I think she'd be like you. Okay. And I do think, like, a level of the honesty here comes from the fact that he is saying, if I had an older sister, as opposed to an older brother. Like, in the moment. Like, this is what he has genuinely felt throughout this entire journey. He cannot immediately change it in the moments. He does have to say, like, this is what I've been thinking this whole time. And again, it does ring true. Like, we've had so many instances throughout the series of Agni and Tagada talking, and it being like this very long, enthralling conversation that kind of doesn't mean anything, but it's still really fun. Like, I can relate very deeply to how the conversation works, like, in Agni's favor. Big sister's fine. Now, here's the question. Like, what does Tagada do here? Does do we get the peppy wacky female Tagada again, or do we get a more honest Tagada? Because I mean, I do think like part of that, like especially all the film stuff, that has to be real to some extent. It could have been played up, but there is a kernel of truth there. Like no one knows that much trivia and stuff about films unless they genuinely do love film. Okay, if it's something really spectacularly cool, I'll come back. I mean, is it going to be killing the Ice Witch, perhaps? I'm going to see Doma. Okay, sure. Like, we did have the reveal of, like, Doma doesn't know you at all. Like, that sort of immediate killer of, this isn't going to be a climactic fight. But even then, I think this could be something at the very least. Like, it is an ending. Okay. I can't talk about myself, so instead I'll summarize a movie. And then we get Star Wars. Like, there has to be a connection between Togata and Celia now, right? Or, if not a genuine direct connection, there's definitely going to be a, like, there's got to be a parallel there. But I would, like, stake some bet on them actually knowing each other on some level. Though I guess that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Like, Star Wars is, like, one of the biggest franchises in the universe. Or, I guess, on Earth. Let's not go too crazy. But it is enormous. So it could just be as simple as if two people survived, the apocalypse and were still super into movies, they'd both probably be into Star Wars. That seems pretty sacrilegious in the Agni village. Sun is really such a dumb little ball of fluff. Also, I do like the style of Fire Punch, but I do legitimately think that the style of Chainsaw Man is better. Like, it still has a very sketchy quality to it, while at the same time being more flowing. Which is pretty wild, on a weekly restriction. I'm surprised that Masked Man came at all. I mean, I cannot get a grip on his personality. Last volume, he definitely, he's sassy. He does the big finger every once in a while. But he also has this, I guess almost moe curious energy to him. I also do think this is a good, like, I have been so fixated over the last year or so on the phrasing of, the blessed are, appliances, like toaster ovens and guns floating in the air. I don't know what that means, and it is very intentionally ambiguous. But I do think, this idea of, I'm not blessed, so I'm going to learn how to drive, is, there's a good parallel there to, the blessed are literally just people who have cars, invisible cars that they can drive. So if you are a normal person and you learn how to drive a car, you're basically on their level. Okay. Did he set it on fire? Did we just skip right past that? I feel like we did. Okay, never mind, never mind. Once we see Doma, you can do whatever you want. Okay, here we go. No, it's a cool name. Fire Punch is a cool name. Also, I guess I didn't think about it, but yeah, I guess no one said the name Fire Punch to him until right now. Hey, give him a taste of your Fire Punch. Also, I have been talking in other reactions about the weirdness or lack thereof of, shooting someone who clearly cannot be killed by shooting. And I do think, Fire Punch does have a good balance of most people in the series. Agni is unnaturally, even for a Blessed, he is unnaturally powerful regeneration. Whereas, any other Blessed who can regenerate, you usually can kill them with enough bullets. Or if you hit them in the right place, or if you just keep on pumping them full. So, most people, when fighting Agni, would want to shoot him. Also, actually, because he's on fire. Because most people do not realize that he is just on fire. Most people assume he has some sort of fire blessing. So it is a 1-2 punch of, it makes a lot of sense in universe to try and shoot him. Now, how interesting is this going to be? I can't imagine it's going to be very interesting. Or not interesting in the way that she would want it to be. What is this panel supposed to be implying? I guess maybe just that the tree is, in fact, blooming to some level. Most trees seem to be chopped down for firewood. Whereas, these ones are super duper tall, and they haven't been touched at all, implying that the people who live here don't, never needed to chop this one down. Or these two down. Now, I have assumed up to this point that should Doma, get into this, that he would just say, I don't know you, I don't remember, I'm just, you can kill me. But there is also the potential of him just setting Agni on fire some more. There's only half of him that's not on fire, and legitimately, if that half gets on fire, it's going to be a problem. Like, no more food after that point. Okay, it's fishing time. I'm legitimately so interested in what this is going to be like. God, Togata, you're so bad at this! This is legitimately a good tactical position to have Agni at, though. Like, should he try to run over, he will fall into the lake. And depending on how thin, depending on how deep the lake is, like, the flames will presumably just keep on burning until they evaporate the entire lake. But that's going to take a long time. God, the fish are so tiny. Like, to take care of 17 children, that's a lot of fish. Or actually, never mind, never mind. No, no, no. I thought for a moment, like, oh, maybe I'm reading this wrong. Maybe this is the bait. No, it's not the bait. Oh. I mean, this one's pretty rough because, like, Agni is being very transparent. He is saying, like, I don't need to kill you, but I need a resolution. Like, this character arc needs to end. And a big part of this, like, overarching thing with the movie has been, like, what's the climax here? Initially, the climax was, we gotta kill Doma. That's gonna be a good climax. But I think the ending to this might just be, there is no good accomplishment you can do here. Like, if you kill Doma, then you're leaving his kids to die. If you don't kill Doma, then the main villain of this piece doesn't die. There's no point to it. Okay, I'll take those 17 to my village. They'll have no trouble staying fed. So that way, like, yeah. And they could frame it in the movie as, I killed Batman, I saved these 17 kids from the Batman, kids now eat my face. This is, yeah. I was thinking about, like, what could he possibly say here? But yeah, like, Doma doesn't know that it wasn't, like, that they weren't slaughtering other people. They don't know that it was always Agni's flesh from the start. There was no misunderstanding. What do you think people lack right now? Is it going to be, like, religion or something? It's not warm climates, or great quantities of food, or even God. It's a proper education. Which is, in fact, calling back to, yeah, what we've been cutting to in the village. Ah. They won't die. Life doesn't die that easily. If you die, all they'll be left with is a culture where they eat people. So, they didn't do it under the pretense of, these people are, killing other human beings. They did it just because, like, yeah, this village now eats human beings, they're a problem. And I do appreciate his, like, I appreciate Doma's thing here, because it also, like, it is not a metaphor for current society. It is a, like, in this scenario, like, we know for a fact these people cannot be educated. If, so anyone reading this who has been educated, this doesn't apply to you. I mean, obviously, you can apply it however you want, but it is, like, this is a strong counter to, like, the big trope of this character does a thing, and it's okay because they're kind of dumb. Like, this is outright saying, like, most of the things that Agni has done are things he would not have done if he had, like, a super genius education. But at the same time, like, that's not really an argument. The argument would then be, like, you gotta educate people. The person who set you aflame wasn't the educated person you see before you. It was the past me who had no proper education. Jeez, really? So, that wasn't even, like, footage of a Blessed. That is just straight up a Blu-ray movie. What I'd been watching that whole time was a form of entertainment called a movie. The god that I'd prayed to every morning and night was merely a human actor. Also, I guess the implication that the entire city itself, that society, was named after this movie. This also does follow, like, the ever-growing theme of the series of not, like, I guess of cinema being an important driving factor in not humanity, but in just people's motivations right now. If there is a uniting statement at the end of this, sure, but so far there isn't really one. There is also something pretty terrifying to the idea of having fire powers and being, living according to the values of a movie where someone who did not have fire powers was burning people alive. Like, it is that direct, like, even in this movie, no one died, it was just entertainment. But based on that entertainment, I have been committing murder because I believed in the god of this entertainment. Okay, I was not expecting this. I'm the only one who'd have that piece of shit movie in its original packaging. This is also a complete violation of the, of I will be silent, I'll be behind the camera. But I could see this also making the movie better if it is like Takada's done a bunch of narration already. And I would not be against a movie where halfway through the movie, like, there is a director who has been talking throughout, and then during the climax, the director runs out and beats the shit out of the final boss. God damn. I think Tagada's going to kill him. Oh no, she's gonna burn his dick off. Oof, that actor was an alcoholic rapist. Like, more so than it being a fictional character. Every single part of this was bullshit. Oh no, are these kids gonna act as a human shield? Also, I do appreciate, like, how out of her mind Tagada is right now. Like, yeah, Agni literally cannot walk over. Like, that's also why he's not, stopping Tagada. Like, he can't go on the water. Now, this is a tough climax. This is a real tough one to justify. Also, God, he's such a piece of shit. Like, I did buy into a big part of him. Like, yeah, he is a different person. He has changed. The him who's speaking right now is not the same person as the person who killed Agni's village. But at the same time, he did say before this, like, he was planning to bring up the kids as a way to save himself. And even here, he is saying forgive me, not in a I'm sorry, but he's saying forgive me as a, as a defensive mechanism, as a you need to forgive me or else these kids are going to die. Also, boy, yeah, like, her gender complex now explains why it is that she's so focused on kicking people in the nuts and saying, bite off your dick. Brown eye isn't a dirty word. Boy, weird climax. Okay, so that is his conclusion. Like, he would not be happy if he has to kill Doma here, like, in this scenario. And Luna also would not be happy about it. I mean, I don't think she's gonna leave. Like, I do think, Agni has won Tagada over. But at the same time, I can understand why this is not a good movie. This is a bad ending. And even in movie terms, yeah, the hero wouldn't have killed him. He's such a miserable excuse for a man now. So he is embracing the idea of being the hero. Okay. What is this song going to be? What is this supposed to express? I wonder if he's going to turn back and fire punch him. Like, this really feels like... And also, oh boy, this is gonna go on for a bit. I can also empathize with the idea of, making a big choice, and then as you're walking away from it, like, that sinking feeling in your stomach of, oh yeah, here's all the evidence for, why I should have done it, or why I shouldn't have done that. Like, the adrenaline wears off, the feeling of self-importance wears off, and then you realize, oh yeah. I think he's gonna do it. Okay. He's just acting like he's sorry. Brother, for my sake, become Fire Punch. And he's slamming his hand against his face. Like, is he... This is going to definitely spread the fire across his face. He's gonna do it. He's going back. He's gonna Fire Punch him. Jesus Christ. So, okay, he hasn't lost all of his head. But everything except for that little corner now is fire. What is that? This has to be a dream sequence, right? There's no way this is not a dream sequence. What is happening? Like, did he pass out or something? Huh. Also, like, this is the kind of sequence we never get in Chainsaw Man. Or if we do get it, it's on a much smaller scale. In Fire Punch, it really, it gets the time to breathe. It gets the time to really be cinematic. Oh boy. So did he just black out? Like, okay, is that what this is? Like, he blinds himself, then, without even realizing it, he rampages through the village, he kills the kids, he kills Doma. What a wild fucking chapter. Because this also creates a very hard, like, parallel to what Doma did. Like, this is, man goes into the village, sets everyone on fire, including all the innocent kids, and then, destroys all of them. The scorched bodies are so creepy. I think it's the eye sockets that really get me, and Fujimoto knows how to do eye sockets in a burned corpse. Like, they're hollow, but they're not, like, lazy hollow. There's enough shading in the socket and around the socket to give it that real sense of depth. And Takada does have footage of it, so... Okay, so now we are actually seeing it as the film. Huh. It looks like he did actually slap himself over the eye then. But he did, his eye did regenerate faster than the flame then. That's interesting. I feel like in most of Fire Punch, we haven't really looked at, like, in the attack when Doma, burned the entire village, we got to see how clingy the flames are and how, scary it is that you can't put them out. But usually when Agni uses the flames, it is more of just a, there is a fire. Like, it's usually not that... It's not like this. Like, this is really good at showing how scary it is. That, you can't put out the flame. It is going to constantly spread. I mean, to be fair, she also is uneducated. Like, she doesn't try to stop, drop, and roll. Stop, dropping, and rolling would not have worked here, sure, but... to think that that wasn't her first response does show that, this is another time, or a different time. It is also so interesting that, like, he doesn't punch anyone in this. Like, there is no physical attack. He is just walking to Doma this whole time. He is killing everyone as a result of his actions. Like, his flames will just kill everyone. But he doesn't show any aggression there. Like, even as out of his mind as he is. Also, it is interesting that Doma is, attacking with full flame, and yet he isn't lighting that corner of Agni's head on fire. Like, that could just be, that could just be an artistic license thing. But I'm wondering if there is something there. Like, especially with the fact that Agni was able to, reduce the flames afterwards. Oh, no, okay, so he impaled him with the femur. Or, no, that's not what a femur is. Arm femur. What is that called? This is really a good way of, like, having your cake, or, having your cake and eating it too. Like, having the moment where we say, but realistically, this would be stupid to do. Like, this would not be a good climax if he just goes in and kills all these children and murders Doma when he's a decrepit old man. And then we do get the climax, where he walks in and kills all the children and murders decrepit old man Doma. Like, we did get both. And because he was so out of his mind, like, we also don't have to struggle, like, I'm sure Agni will struggle with the fact that he did this, but we don't have to have the reasoning of, why would he do this in the moment? I can't believe we had a whole chapter that was Agni going insane, and then another chapter that was just what he did. Like, that is 2, quote-unquote, recap chapters in whole, but they were both so enthralling. Okay. How does Tagada help him regain his sanity now? Also, that's so much. Yeah, like, I was thinking of it as just, he slapped the top half here, but no, like, it is, like, the entire, like, he went from 1/4 of his head being on fire to 3/4 of his head being on fire, and then it went back. And we have the actual filmed footage of it, so it's not a metaphor or anything. It did happen. That looks like an evolved kid. And it's over the frozen riverbed, so he will just sink. Now, is this one of the kids, or is it supposed to be, is it supposed to be Luna? Tagada, he told me to be a hero. I'd be the hero, you'd be the director, Neto would be the cameraman, and Doma would be the villain. But I just now realized who I really am. I'm the villain. And this is, like, we have so much left. But this feels like this could be the end of the series. Whew. Also, like, we don't know how Agni's regeneration would interact with drowning. Like, it isn't necessarily that he can't die. It is, like, it's very possible that he can asphyxiate and die. Just, you know, if he suffers physical harm, he regenerates. So this could legitimately be deadly to him. I don't think it's going to be, but still. Ah. As Tagada said, when you die, you go to the theater. Also, interesting that, I mean, sure, these are the vengers, but the theater he goes to, like, knowing that he cannot have any idea of what movies are like outside of, you know, the few things that Tagada has told him. This does place it in, oh, like, that also looks like, the poster for, I mean, it looks Star Wars-y. It looks like, I mean, obviously that's supposed to be Luke. That looks like Vader. It could also be from the sequel trilogy, but I don't think so. Because most of the sequel trilogy posters are like Finn or Rey here. And that doesn't look like Finn or Rey. It looks honestly a little like Kylo Ren. What would this be? Because also, this could be any Avengers movie. Like, this is most likely a tagline, actually. So this would place it as being, you know, like, like, roughly contemporaneous with when Fire Punch actually came out. When you first walk in, you go to the ticket counter to buy a ticket for the movie you want to see. Then you go and buy your caramel popcorn. Don't buy a drink, because you don't have to... Yeah, you don't want to have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the movie. What is he gonna watch, though? Also, really, who buys the brochure for the movie you're going to see? I guess that might be a more Japanese thing. But, like, I have been to movies where they hand out brochures. They're not usually good. If you had to pay for one, I wouldn't. I mean, this legitimately does feel like the ending of the series. It can't be, but it feels like it. Also, I didn't mention it, but I do appreciate that, you know, in his mind, or in the afterlife, he does look the way he did, you know, before he got burned. Like, this is the way he sees himself. Why? For what purpose? Also, why is Tagada here? Like, this has to be a mental thing, then. Like, as opposed to him literally going to heaven. Okay. I remember it was around this time that I wanted to become a man. To save someone, like the heroes in movies do. Oh my god! The cover of this is Tagada on fire, and it is specifically green fire. So is it Tagada, yeah, jumps down here, grabs Agni, pushes him to the surface, and then is on fire underwater, and then dies underwater? That would also explain the colors in a way that, you know, seems like on the face of it like it's going to be a really trippy thing, but it isn't necessarily going to be so. Ah, jeez. So this is really the worst of both worlds. Like, starting off the volume with Tagada potentially leaving. Now Tagada is dead. Okay, and this is like an out-of-body experience. So this is what Agni lives with every day. It's a miracle he can even walk. Oh, that's actually a good point. I don't know if they brought that up early in the series or not, but yeah. Like, he is buff because his body is always tensing up from being burned. slash, his regeneration doesn't follow the laws of, requiring extra mass from somewhere. Like, it does just create mass. So, of course, his muscles would be able to get bigger and stronger without him having to necessarily eat enough protein to build them up. What's she gonna think of now? I I don't think Fire Punch came out at the same time as Batman v Superman, but this feels like a direct jab at it, or a jab at it while also being like legitimately thoughtful. That said, her final words should be like something self-referential. Like, to have it be something that is just on its face not true, like something she is saying just for the sake of saying it. I mean, I get it, and that would fit her in a weird way, but it's not what I would want from her. Okay, if I die, he's willing to die too, even though I gave my life to save him, and he has to keep living. But why? So what would you say in this moment to make him continue to live? I mean, yeah, we've hit the climax. Like, he killed Doma, that's what he wanted to do. If he dies, he gets to see his little sister, that's what he wants. This would be a good ending. So, what could be worth it? What could be worth not dying now? Like, one of the big questions, a bunch of series have done this, but I think Breaking Bad did it really well, when the main character at one point says, like, at what point should I have died? Like, if I wanted to have the happiest possible outlook, at what point in my past should I have died? And I do think of that quite a bit, a lot of the time. Like, personally, I do want to continue to live, but sometimes I do think, like, what would have been a good time? Like, in order to mitigate the amount of suffering I've gone through, slash, improve, my overall, like, the score on my life. What could you say? Agni, live. Is that it? Is it literally just like why does Agni have to live? Because of this, like, because I said live. Or not even that, but just to ask the question. Like, he doesn't want to live. There is no reason for him to want to live. But because she says it, and because he trusts her, he can't die. Because he needs to know now, and because she's dead, she doesn't have to worry about giving him an answer. Every time I see him, like, just cutting through the snow, it's such a strong visual. It is a, like, visually, it feels like a composite of Jesus walking on water and Noah, like, parting the Red Sea. But it's also, like, not either of those. It is, like, completely constrained to the laws of physics. And yet it still has that dual energy to it. What? Oh, yeah, that's right, the tree! I mean, they did talk about the tree already, but I didn't really think we were going to get it now. Yeah, there goes the village. God. Is this everyone? Like, it looks like, all the big hitters that we were introduced to last arc are all dead. But, like, is Sun dead? Is Naneto dead? The trees, Judah. The way... Okay, also, so... Oh, that's so genius. Because they drove away, because they were practicing driving, they weren't caught here. So we have at least 3 members of the cast still around, not including Agni. Judah can use all blessings. She can erase your regeneration and flames. But is that part of a blessing? When I watch a movie, my attention's solely on the bad guy. I love villains. They're so single-minded and fight for their own values. They torture the heroes so that the audience hates them for it. But in the end, they do us the favor of losing. The victory goes to the hero, and the audience gets to enjoy the catharsis. It's also such a strong, like, not even flip. It is this big moment of Agni finally admitted he's a villain, but he's not willing to kill himself. And now there's the big moment of, what does he do? Where does he go from here? How does he, reach his own catharsis, let alone give anyone else catharsis? God, what a fucking volume! I live in a cardboard box by the riverbank drawing manga. I don't smile like that anymore. Oof. But seriously, what a volume. And this has been the Tagada volume. Like, I have really enjoyed Tagada as a character throughout, but this is, Like, everything that Tagata as a character touched on really got to me. And like, we got two climaxes in a way. We got the emotional climax, we got the crazy action physical climax, and now we have whatever this is. Like, to be honest, like, as I said at the start of this, part of the reason I took so long to get to Volume 5 was because I was so shook by the end of Volume 4. And I appreciate that all of Volume 5 was essentially, like, cutting around the big climax of Volume 4. Like, we only get back to the tree after a whole volume of classic Fire Punch of, let's tie the stuff up, let's deal with Tagata, let's, deal with Agni, let's, wrap this part up. Because now the series is completely free. I don't know, boy. My initial idea is just Agni is going to set this tree on fire and then potentially set the heavens on fire. But if the tree, like, if Judah has the power of all blessings now, and presumably, like, yeah, she can stop the fire. So what can he do at this point? I mean, there's also the problem of, like, she can, but will she? Is it possible that she will allow herself to be set on fire in order to warm the planets? Like, there'd be a big downside to that. That's a lot of pollution. But theoretically, that should work. I mean, it should work to increase the amount of heat, but it would also increase greenhouse gases. It would melt the planets, but it would be, a different apocalypse. Then again, Fire Punch does need to have a happy ending, so I could see that happening. The only thing I legitimately cannot see happening is Sulia's plan to stay with Sulia and then see the developments of a new species that then comes up with Star Wars again. What an absolute thrill ride. God, good volume. I'm definitely more in the Fire Punch mood now as well. Like, it took a while, but I'm back. I don't really have anything else I want to say. I am disappointed that does explain this cover. Like, these are all characters that did survive, except for Doma. But Doma was important because of, because he was the big, enemy of this volume. But everyone else that we did see here survived. Everyone else is dead or presumably dead. Almost 100% certainly dead. And we still have so much more to go, but then again, like, Fire Punch is a series that has a lot of breathing room, that can do whatever it wants with its pacing. So if the rest of the series is just dealing with this tree, whether it is allowing it to blossom or destroying it, like, that could take the rest of the series. I really can't metagame it based on how many chapters there are. Like, the number of chapters we had in this volume doesn't feel like enough to cover the amount of plot we got, but each chapter was absolutely fantastic storytelling. Fujimoto is a genius. Alright, well, that's all I really want to say. I'm trying not to do the big, long discussy at the end of the reaction, because I do talk a lot during the reaction, so let's stop it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye for now. Nya nya.